Hey, welcome. We have new episode today of Next Creators, new podcast focusing on creators and inspiring more people to enter the space. Today we have Max Jackson.
Hey there.
Thanks a lot for coming. So maybe we can start with giving you giving us a little bit of a background on what you're up to these days.
Focusing on these days, a little too much at once. I'm just wrapping up a series of glitch art single editions on OpenSea. I've made 107 out of 137 total, and each one of those sort of has a special thing about it. When you buy it, I take the artwork that you just purchased, I remix it, I make a new NFT, and I send it to you under another collection. So the collection of 137 unique artworks is called ZK Quarks, sort of a joke on ZK Snarks, zero knowledge, and you have zero knowledge of what the result of your purchase is going to yield. And I'm trying to keep that spirit alive. I love the idea of rewards and kind of having them be a bit of a surprise. And maybe I'll do something in addition to the one NFT reward someday. I'd like to keep playing with the idea and continue to give them sort of value to anybody who might want to have one. So I'm just wrapping that up. I previously had done 100 Days of Blender, and I took a bit of a hiatus from dailies, and I think it's time to go back into it. So I've been working in Blender a bit and practicing some new techniques and tools.
And what is a glitch that you referenced earlier?
Oh, glitch art. I suppose it's a genre based around a set of procedures that aren't standard procedures. Glitch art probably originated with actual glitches in code that would result in messed up screens. When you'd play a game and all of a sudden you'd get a glitch and you'd see all these random characters or whatever. And glitch art, people like Kate Kirst, she's on Near, Paris artist. She makes glitch art out of a circuit bent Super Nintendo, and she uses Mario Paint to make glitch art with a Super Nintendo, which is totally cool.
Maybe we can also go into your background. So you grew up in Boston, correct?
Yes, yeah, Somerville, but Boston area. It's all one big group of neighborhoods.
And you were in art and music growing up?
Well, I was raised by musicians. My dad is a drummer. My mom's a singer, and we're just weirdos. So yeah, yeah. I grew up playing piano and being in mural projects with the neighborhood kids. My mom was a big community leader. Actually, she would bring all the neighborhood kids together for neighborhood beautification projects, painting murals and stuff, and it's definitely a good thing. Got me busy with paint at an early age, even though I sort of really didn't become a self-proclaimed artist, if you want to call it that. Everybody's an artist if they want to be, but I wasn't focusing on it until recently in life.
And how did you also get into calligraphy?
Yeah, that's sort of has been my return to art. Was calligraphy. So it's funny. I was a developer for a living for 10 to 15 years, and I love the challenge of solving problems, and building things is so rewarding. But I was finding a lot of personal stress working for companies whose product or whose management didn't align with me morally or ethically, and it was just really hard to find a company that I believed in, that believed in my sort of lifestyle, which is, I ride a tricycle on the side. So context, I have a pedicab company, and I go out and I drive people around and I have a great time. I'm all about talking to people, but I also like sitting down and put my head in a puzzle too. So I sort of think that makes me different from most programmers. And when they see this like happy-go-lucky, like talkative guy, they assume that, oh, maybe he's not a programmer, maybe he's all talk. But I mean, I love to do it, but stress me out. So I started to move more into pedicabbing, and so I spent about 10 years total, where about half of that at least was full-time pedicabbing, and the other was just like leaning on it between contracts and stuff. So I realized, I don't want to search for anybody else's goals anymore. If I'm going to program for a living, I'm going to pursue my own dreams. And so I started just like pedicabbing full time and making art at home. I wanted to like make art and sell it. This was in like the winter of 2017, I guess. Yeah, 2016 or 2017. I found calligraphy on Instagram, and I just wanted to learn black letter calligraphy, and I started seeing all these different ways people were experimenting with calligraphy, and I just got sucked in. There's so many incredible artists in there, out there around the world. In Russia, the calligraphers are just like astounding. Yeah, all over the world, there's just all these different styles, and everybody's interpretation of like how the forms of calligraphy, how they express themselves, is everybody's a little bit different, even if people are doing a lot of the same thing. And I started doing the circles because, it looked like a fun little meditative thing, and I started doing them, and I just got sucked into them, and I was making like 2 or 3 a day for, months, maybe a year. I spent a lot of my spare time doing that. And yeah, so it became my practice. It became my way of getting better at the individual strokes. Is I would, so a regular calligrapher, they would take a sheet of paper and they'd draw out the lines based on their pen size so that you have exactly the right line height, and then you practice your lines and you make sure they're perfectly spaced in between, and it's all about the balance, the height and negative space, any like curves or whatever, just being able to be very uniform in your strokes. And I just had fun doing it in a circle, and people seemed to like it a whole lot. So I enjoyed doing it. And when I found crypto art, I had been in crypto for a long time, but I sort of took a break for a while because I lost interest in Bitcoin, and I just knew that it was sort of like an awkward time prior to NFTs. There was just like nothing too interesting going on. ICOs were kind of like boring, and nothing new was being talked about. So I just didn't pay attention for a few years. And when I found out that there was this website called Maker's Place and Rareable and stuff, I was like, ooh, I got to figure out how to make myself stand out. So I was like, maybe if I made my calligraphy 3D. Oh yeah, let's learn 3D. That sounds like a great idea. So I started watching YouTube videos while I was working as a bike mechanic at this point. I just like be listening while I was wrenching. And then I finally bit the bullet, and I was like, I'm not going to learn anything unless I constantly practice. So I started 100 days of Blender on Halloween, I think, and completed it like right after New Year's. Yeah, and it was awesome. And I just like dug in and had fun and kind of dove into crypto art at the same time. My first NFT was my first calligraphy circle that I made in Blender.
And what is Blender?
Blender is a 3D modeling program. It's open source. It's debatably the best program out there for anybody to pick up and learn 3D, but it's certainly a multifaceted tool that can do a lot of different things. regardless of whether it's the best or not.
Got it. And so you discovered Maker's Place and Rarible. How was those early experiences? How did you decide to use multiple platforms? What to put there? How to kind of separate communities on different art you have?
Well, I didn't get into Maker's Place or anything else you have to apply to, for that matter, except for Paris. That was fortunate. But yeah, I started on Rarible, and I thought, I want people to be able to, I want a bunch of people to be able to have my Genesis piece. So I made it an edition of 14, and I gave a bunch away in a giveaway in order to build my following, just experimenting. This was in November. I think I gave 7 away, and yeah, I'm friends with most of those people. One person I was just like, wait, who are you? How did you get this? Did I give it to you in a giveaway? And he's like, yeah, man, it's my favorite NFT. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Reach out whenever. And he's like, oh, man, it's so cool to meet you. And it's just great. I love meeting the people that that are buying my art or who are interested in it. It's been entirely about personal relationships, which is why I made the first one a multi-edition. Because it's not about how valuable it is. It's about people's belief in you, which I have a lot more thoughts on, and that's the conversation of where does the value come from.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about that. So how do you think about that?
Well, it's funny, the more I spend time in this crypto art space, the more I realize that the value of an artwork is like the relevance of a meme. I think somebody said that recently. I'm probably paraphrasing somebody that I saw say that in the last week, but it's true. If the joke stops being used, then people don't really give it too much relevance or attention, and money is attention. It seems very relevant to the seems similar. What am I trying to say here? It seems like it's similar to the value of any product, where if there's demand for it, if people are using it, it will have a greater value, I suppose. Yeah, I'm not an economist.
So you essentially turn attention to the value.
Yeah, so I'm building a community in order to have a healthy base of support that keeps me relevant as an artist. And as long as I am continually contributing as an artist and as a community member, then that value is still there in my eyes. If I have a network of people that appreciate me, then money isn't any attention isn't money, but it's valuable too. And also I think the greatest value I've gotten in this space has been out of just being friends to people and being good to people, and then they're like, wow, thank you so much, and then they go and say, hey, you got to check out Max. He's the nicest guy. Look at how awesome his art is. And that's so nice. And all you have to do is make friends and be nice to people and help people out a little bit. It really isn't very hard on Twitter to be like, oh, you should check out this person's art. And then they make friends. And then they're like, oh, thanks for introducing us. I didn't do anything. It's incredibly easy for us all to build each other up out here. And I think that's why it's such a fiery community of passionate people, is because it really is so exciting to be able to help each other build our own sort of art careers, or at least have fun as an artist and be supported by your peers.
Mm-hmm. How do you think about this early community? What kind of stands out to you? How would you describe it?
The crypto art community?
Yep.
Well, that's a really open-ended question, but yeah, I feel very good about it. I feel that the crypto art community has a passion that is sort of unparalleled in my experiences in internet communities. The closest thing that I can think of has been collaborative DJing on Turntable FM. There would be rooms where people would, they'd share certain types of music or whatever, and everybody would take a turn playing the next song, and people just were so excited to be able to share the song that they picked and like be part of a music community and like have people say, "Ooh, nice follow. That was a good pick." And like the excitement that gathered around sharing music together was so strong that like multiple record labels or net labels started out of those communities that are still going today. And yeah, I mean, that was amazing. And the passion in crypto art is even stronger because it's not pinned down. It's just boundless. So it almost doesn't feel as like as strong as that sort of passion because everybody's expecting that they're going to come in and make money, and then they're like, oh, this is actually really hard. I haven't made sales in weeks or months, or I spent $300 to mint on foundation on a busy day and I haven't sold it. And it's like, it's really kind of like disheartening for a lot of people. It's this ups and downs in the crypto space, as opposed to like listening to music on YouTube, which is just like all fun all the time.
Right. And you also started to get involved in like virtual galleries as well, right?
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of building in Decentraland. I'm still working on a gallery that I've been putting off releasing until we have a collective of artists ready to put a gallery show together. But I am working on something that I'm hopefully going to be deploying in Decentraland to the Etheria district, which is an awesome community, sort of led by Carl Faravel, who is the nicest guy. He just wants to see this community thrive and like have people build awesome stuff there. So, he's open to all proposals from anybody who's looking to build a community in Decentraland.
And those virtual galleries, are they for people to kind of come together to put their projects there, or is it some collaborative effort? Also, people like working with each other on their projects.
Well, it's very open ended. He just has a vast amount of land that he's willing to take proposals on. So, yeah, there's really sky's the limit there for what you can put together and show to Carl, who is the gatekeeper.
Maybe we can also come back to the platforms. So you started with Rarible, pretty much. What were some of the other platforms you uncovered, and how different they are from each other in terms of communities they are, or maybe like formats of art?
So when I started, I thought that collectibles were the cool thing. Not in terms of my own interest, just I thought that's what would sell. So I made my Genesis piece 14 edition of 14, and they didn't all sell really quick or anything. So, and I got some feedback that maybe I should do single editions because those are more valued by collectors and art people, I guess. So I stuck with single editions from that point on for a while, and they did pretty well. I think my average sale was like 0.15, anywhere from like 0.1 to 0.35. I was selling maybe a couple a month or so, more or less, for it's only been since November, so it hasn't really been too active. But then I wanted to like go give collectibles a try again, so I made a multi-edition on Rarible for people to collect, and that didn't really do especially well. And I think it's because one, it was a little saturated at that point, but two, my launch strategy, my release strategy wasn't totally spot on. To have what I was trying to do, I need to have top-notch content, just like at the perfect resolution, so I can be like looking just as good as, a Lux collectible, but I'm like a calligraphy collectible. And I guess honestly, it wasn't quite there. Some of the previews are a little messy, but I think they'll eventually sell out if I prove that my merit as an artist, I suppose. I don't know. But either way, I really love single editions because I pump out artwork. I have a lot of fun making art, and I love to give something that's theirs, just theirs. So actually, the next platform that I tried was Paris. I applied to use Paris ID on Near, and I got accepted. And I suppose it must have been pretty early on. Uh, and I looked into the marketplace, and I was like, "Huh, this is interesting. It's sort of limited. It doesn't I can't like show it on other sites yet or anything, but like it's a cool format and the website looks really nice, but the market's kind of dead. Ooh, I see. These are all editions of 20 to 100 and they cost like $40 to $100 each. That's ridiculous. Here, I'm going to upset the market real quick." And then I started making single editions priced at one Near and incrementing upward per artwork. And they were selling within minutes every time, and I sold like 25 the first day. And yeah, that was really fun. And so I got a little attention that way when I launched on Paris, which was my first which was my first like notable success as a crypto artist.
That's awesome. And have you tried some other platforms like Charge Particles? I believe you also.
Yeah, yeah. My friend Mango, who is their community leader, uh, brought me on as one of the launching artists for the Charge Particles platform, which was super exciting. And I was, experimenting between formats at that point. So I did this cool thing where I took all of my glitch artworks, all of my calligraphy artworks, and all my 3D abstracts, and I pooled them into like an AI art generator, and I fed them all into that, and I found like a weird approximation of some form between all of those, and I just picked the best one I could, and then I took that and I photoshopped it even more and glitched it out even more, and I had like a bunch of different versions, so I made a series, and there's like three or four based on those forms, and then a few calligraphy works that I put on that collection. And actually, those ended up being my biggest sales to date. On that launch day, I sold three artworks, one for 2 Ethereum, one for 2.5. Those two were to Silver Surfer, which is he's an awesome collector. He's a really nice guy. And the other was a 5 Ethereum calligraphy piece to Crypto Hydrate. His name's Drew. He's a really great guy. We talk a lot because he's really interested in calligraphy, and he's introducing me to Arabic calligraphy, which a lot of people have been saying I need to look into and learn about, because my stuff reminds them so much of it. So yeah, those were paying the bills today, for the next few months while I figure out some of the next big projects.
And how do you think about what's next for you? Like, what are you inspired by?
You know, there's always so many things on my mind for what to do next that I have to remind myself of what my goals are. And so my main objective in the crypto space since long before NFTs has been to find a way to provide people the opportunity to do what they can for a living, do what they want to, do what they're able to and what they're good at for a living. And I was always really compelled by the idea of, a marketplace for goods and services where you can, maybe it's like Fiverr, but for crypto, and then you have the transaction history, and just like, I don't know, sky's the limit with that stuff, because especially if you do it on layer 2, you can really provide so much value in different ways. You can tokenize each interaction and give it details on behalf of both parties, to have like receipts and feedback and build reputation. And, it's hard to say what the right idea is, because there's a lot of different ways you could do it, and a lot of them could go well or poorly. But yeah, that's my dream, is to see a market of goods and services to allow people to like fundraise and sell their services and products easily from home without like stressing about money. Because honestly, the biggest problem with, society is just we're all slaves to capitalism. I mean, it's been divide and conquer all the way down to the individual, and that's where we're at. And if people don't recognize it, they're fooling themselves. So, if you can make your kingdom a little bigger by being able to work like that, doing whatever you can, even if it's just like giving feedback, I'd love to even provide like, editing services, just like on the fly. If you need somebody to like look over something and read it, or like give an opinion, you give them like a few cents. If people want to ask for that service or provide that service, give them the opportunity to. So that's been my dream since the beginning, and I'm just taking baby steps. The next thing that I want to accomplish is a collaborative minting platform would be really cool. And like, because I'm in NFTs, I feel like it's really the next step. Everybody is collaborating right now, and there's no formal way to split profits. So you can't really spin up a DAO on Ethereum per collaboration, because it's just too expensive. But you could on Near or any other sidechain or layer 2 or whatever. And it would be really great to allow people to create a team, make it as easy as like creating a team on Trello, and then you can like set your distribution, you can set your ownership, and like, if people agree to it, cool. If not, they can leave. It's that simple. It would work a lot like a Moloch DAO. A Moloch DAO, you could rage quit and get your payout.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Have you seen anything interesting happening on the music front in crypto so far?
It seems to be just starting. I haven't dug too deep into it. I know that there is Zora has allows you to post music. Some other platforms that I haven't really dug into. But I don't know. Every time I have that question, I look to Zora, because they seem to be reposting a lot of accounts that are doing music right now. I'm a musician, so I'm definitely looking to do that. I've never released any albums. I've only put out free tracks one at a time on SoundCloud. So, yeah, it would be interesting to finally release an album and make it a tokenized album. I've yet to look into that, but my next project, I think, is going to be putting out single tracks as single editions with 3D artwork, animations. So just like music, animated art, NFTs for each new song.
I wanted to ask a couple questions about overall inspirations for you in your life. What are some of the maybe books or mentors that shaped your life?
Well, definitely my parents. I mean, being musicians, rhythm is like core to everything, and patterns. My dad was a drummer, and I always think back to a very early memory when we were on a cottage house on a lake in upstate New York, and my dad was working on the drum head for his band. He was tracing out the name of the band on his drum head and like painting it like with like a sign painter's brush. And I've like never seen him paint before, but yeah, no, it was a very cool like geometric hippie pattern. and that always just stuck with me as like the coolest thing. So like rhythm and geometry have just always been core, and like my feelings towards art and music. And yeah, I don't know. As an artist, it's hard to say because like I was always really interested in art. Like I always just both art and music. I always love to look at like all these different styles, and I'd listen to music from all around the world, like like Turkish and Japanese music, African folk music from all different countries, hearing things in different tunings and stuff, and like minimalist music and like even temperament. One really cool album is the Well Tuned Piano by Lamont Young. It's a piano that's tuned equal temperament, so octaves aren't what we call them, and it resonates different. It's wild. It's wild sounding, and we don't have that in Western music. But like really, my biggest influence is Aphex Twin as a musician, and as an artist. Honestly, every single day there's new inspirations. I can't even just say one. It started with calligraphy. There's so many amazing calligraphers, and one of my first inspirations as a 3D artist. So the reason I started doing 100 Days of Blender is because I was working as a bike mechanic and I was looking at 3D art and like learning Blender in videos and stuff. And I saw this guy, Max Hay, and I was like, damn, these are the coolest scenes. These like dark cyberpunk settings with all this haze and these looming lit up towers in the fog. And I look, and he's 18 years old, and he's been doing it for a year. I'm like, what the hell? All right, game over. I got to start learning this now. And so I just dove in because, if a kid in high school can spend a year doing it and make art that looks like straight up like some of the best cyberpunk stuff you've ever seen, then, I dig in. When I'm working on anything, that's like all I focus on. This glitch art, I've been making like 20 glitch art pieces a day. And like the 3D stuff, 100 Days of Blender, the calligraphy, leaning into that super hard. It's just a matter of just like figuring out what needs to be the next thing, I guess. So I'm gonna do another 100 days or something like that. I have some tools. I'm looking to lean into super hard and level up again in Blender because I'm not quite where I want to be, especially if I'm going to be doing basically music videos for every NFT from now on. Making music for every single edition. Definitely got to take it to a new level, and there's always somebody out there that's inspiring me. Max Hay was the one who got me started, but there's people experimenting in every format right now. And that's why crypto art's amazing, is because, you don't have to lean on the history books for inspiration. You can just go and find something mind-blowing every day that you've never even knew was out there.
What would be your also advice or words for somebody who is crypto curious as a creator, but kind of like doesn't know where to start or has their own doubts?
Well, step one, don't mint your piece on Foundation until you do research. But really, I think that people getting into crypto art now would do well to just, go ahead and start on a layer 2. There's no reason that you need to get, dive into crypto art spending maybe hundreds of dollars to put a few pieces up. Why not go use Ghost Market where it costs $2, and that's like one of the most expensive, proof of stake marketplaces. If you could use Hic et Nunc, and that's basically free. It's like a penny or something. I don't know exactly, but it's super cheap, and the market seems pretty healthy. There's a lot of interest. People are selling art there rapidly on on Tezos. And honestly, I tell people keep your eyes on Mintbase because it's gonna be huge when it opens. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of attention there. And I think that it's a big opportunity for people getting started. So I tell them, if you're NFT curious and you're an artist, come up with something cool that is like totally you and your style, and just like a small collection of pieces that represent your artistic objective or persona or whatever, and just like hold on to those. Don't apply to super rare or whatever. Just put it on Mint base when it launches, and it'll get seen because you'll be one of the first people to put collections out. And if you really put some heart into it, then it'll get noticed.
That's awesome. When you're also creating work, do you ever feel stuck? And if yes, maybe what do you do? Is there any routine to get unstuck?
Well, yeah. My routine to get unstuck is to just make procedural art and don't try to make anything in particular. So if I don't have any inspiration at all, and I just don't know what to make that day, and I'm not in the middle of something that I feel passionate about, then I'll just like open up Blender, make a Bezier curve, turn it into a tube, put a funny material on it, make another tube, turn it into a spiky tube, and animate it. And then you have a then you have a tube with a bunch of like, stalactites and stalagmites, and just like, just play. So I'd say my that's the biggest thing I learned when I did my first 100 days of Blender, was the value of, just letting go and not trying to control every detail and just having fun. And it's funny, like having a form that you do over and over again is actually really valuable. That's sort of how it is with calligraphy. The more you practice doing the same line of the same length, exactly the same spacing apart over and over again, the better quality it gets. And the same is true with like, stuff like if you were to do a Ducky 3D tutorial on YouTube. He's one of the most popular 3D Blender tutorial guys. They all look kind of the same from, person to person doing those tutorials, but the more you do it, the more you realize, oh, I can just like do this and that and that, and then now I have a procedural thing. So just messing about a little bit and like not taking it seriously and not forcing yourself to have any specific outcome, but just like seeing what you can accomplish and seeing, what happens when you do different things. There's a lot of value in just messing around. You learn so much that way. And it's a good low pressure way of doing it because, oh my God, there's so much to learn in Blender.
Cool. And lastly, where do people find more information about yourself?
Honestly, the best way to find me is on Twitter. MXJXN on Twitter. Max Jackson, squashed down into a few letters. I have links to all my platforms there, and that is where I do all my promotion and discussion of art. And I lead Twitter Spaces discussions on crypto art and the NFT space. And I lead a lot of communities out of Twitter. So if somebody is looking to get into crypto art, they can totally send me a DM and I will introduce them to some people and then, help them build a network a little bit. But what I always encourage people to do is to get on Twitter and network themselves, reach out to their peers, and build your own network, because that's the only way to establish yourself is to build your own network.
Got it.
So to answer your question, Twitter.
Do you have any parting words for listeners?
Yeah, don't make art that you think people want. Just make art that you want to make.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.